What if everything you're experiencing right now, the state of your health, the quality of your relationships, the balance in your bank account, and even the emotions flowing through you as you watch this video, was created by the invisible power of your own mind? What if I told you that the architect of your entire reality has been you all along, even though you may have never consciously chosen to design your life this way? The mind is the most powerful creative force in the universe, yet most of us operate it like a sophisticated device we've never read the manual for. We press buttons randomly, follow outdated programming, and then wonder why the results aren't what we hoped for. Has this ever happened to you? You wake up worried about money, and suddenly unexpected bills appear in your mailbox. You obsess over a health concern, and mysteriously your symptoms intensify. You fear losing someone you love, and conflicts begin to emerge from nowhere. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely transform how you understand your reality. This isn't coincidence or bad luck. It's the law of mind in action, operating with the same precision and reliability as gravity. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. The most profound discovery about human consciousness is that we're constantly broadcasting a vibrational frequency through our thoughts and emotions, a frequency that the universe faithfully mirrors back to us as our lived experience. The challenge is that most people are creating unconsciously, running mental programs installed by parents, teachers, media, and society, programs they never deliberately chose. Think about it. How many of your current beliefs about money, health, success, and relationships did you consciously select? Or were they handed to you, absorbed through your environment like a sponge soaking up water? What's fascinating is that your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between thoughts you consciously choose and those you unconsciously accept. It simply responds to whatever mental seeds you plant, whether deliberately or accidentally. This explains why so many people feel trapped in cycles of struggle despite their best efforts. They're trying to create new results while running the same old mental programming. They're affirming abundance while feeling scarcity. They're visualizing health while fearing disease. They're seeking love while believing they're unworthy. What you're about to learn will reveal why your past attempts at manifestation may have fallen short, and more importantly, how to align your conscious desires with your subconscious programming to become a deliberate creator rather than an accidental victim of your own thinking. If these principles of conscious creation have touched something deep within you, hit the subscribe button and join us on this journey of transformation. Each video builds upon the last, creating a complete roadmap for mastering the creative power of your mind. The truth that's been hidden in plain sight for thousands of years is this: life isn't a game of chance, random circumstances, or arbitrary events. It operates according to a perfect, infallible principle where thoughts charged with emotion become the blueprint for your external reality. Just as the law of gravity doesn't care if you believe in it or not, jump from a building and you'll fall regardless of your opinion on the matter, the law of mind functions with the same unwavering consistency whether you're aware of it or not. This revelation transforms your entire understanding of cause and effect. What appears as bad luck or coincidence is actually the precise manifestation of predominant thought patterns you've been sustaining, often without realizing it. Your financial situation isn't the result of random economic forces, but the physical expression of your money consciousness. Your relationships aren't accidental connections, but reflections of your beliefs about love and worthiness. Your health isn't determined by genetic lottery alone, but profoundly influenced by the mental atmosphere you maintain about your body. What's fascinating is that this isn't some New Age fantasy or wishful thinking. This fundamental truth has been woven throughout every major spiritual tradition and sacred text for millennia. Jesus revealed it when he taught through parables about seeds and soil, showing us that our minds are the fertile ground where thoughts take root and grow into our lived experience. Buddha understood it when he declared that all that we are is the result of what we have thought. The Vedic traditions of ancient India built elaborate systems around this understanding. The Kabbalists encoded it in their mystical teachings, and now, in our time, cutting-edge neuroscience and quantum physics are validating what these wisdom traditions have always known. Research in neuroplasticity shows how our thoughts literally reshape our brain's physical structure, creating new neural pathways that either support or sabotage our desired outcomes. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology reveal how our thoughts directly influence our immune system, hormone production, and overall physical health. Quantum physics demonstrates the fundamental role of consciousness in shaping what we experience as physical reality. The hidden revelation behind all this research points to one inescapable conclusion. The boundary between mind and matter is far more permeable than we've been taught to believe. Your thoughts aren't just passive observers of reality, they're active participants in creating it. Every mental image you sustain with emotion, every belief you accept as true, every expectation you maintain about how your life will unfold becomes a template that the universe faithfully works to fulfill. But here's where it gets really fascinating, and this is something most people never realize. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It simply responds to whatever you feed it with emotional intensity. So when you repeatedly imagine worst-case scenarios, when you rehearse problems in your mind, when you speak lack and limitation, you're actually programming your inner creative mechanism to manifest exactly those experiences. This explains why so many spiritual seekers and self-help enthusiasts experience frustration. They're attempting to make superficial changes to their conscious thoughts while leaving the deeper programming of their subconscious untouched. It's like planting flowers in a garden full of weeds and wondering why they don't thrive. The journey of transformation requires more than positive thinking. It demands a complete reprogramming of your mental operating system at the deepest level. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and show you exactly how your mind operates as the invisible architect of your reality and the specific methodology that accelerates this entire process, turning what might take years into something that can shift in weeks or even days. The most profound revelation that can transform your entire existence is understanding that the kingdom you've been searching for externally already exists within your own consciousness. Write in the comments, "I am the architect of my reality," if this understanding is beginning to resonate with the truth you've always felt deep within your soul. This isn't philosophical poetry, it's practical reality. Your subconscious mind operates like the most sophisticated creative mechanism in existence, faithfully responding to whatever you impress upon it through sustained thought and emotion. The revelation that transforms everything is understanding that this powerful part of your mind doesn't make value judgments about the content it receives. It doesn't filter your thoughts through a lens of "this will serve me" versus "this will harm me." It simply accepts whatever you feed it with emotional intensity and works tirelessly to manifest those impressions into your physical experience. Think about the profound implications of this hidden truth. When you worry about financial problems with intense emotion, your subconscious doesn't recognize this as something you're trying to avoid. It interprets your emotionally charged focus as a blueprint for what you want to create. When you obsess over a health concern with fear and anxiety, your creative mechanism doesn't understand you're attempting to prevent illness. It accepts your vivid mental pictures as instructions for manifestation. The subconscious responds to the emotional energy behind your thoughts, not your conscious intentions. This explains the mysterious phenomenon where what we resist seems to persist in our lives. The more emotionally charged attention we give to what we don't want, the more precisely our creative mechanism works to produce it. It's like a faithful gardener who can't distinguish between seeds of beneficial plants and seeds of weeds. Whatever you plant with emotional intensity will be nurtured and grown with equal care. The journey of awakening begins when you realize that this mechanism isn't working against you. It's simply responding with mathematical precision to your predominant mental and emotional state. The transformation comes not from fighting against this system, but from learning to work with it deliberately, consciously directing your emotional energy toward what you wish to experience rather than what you fear. The ancient wisdom keepers understood this perfectly. They knew that as within, so without. They recognized that the kingdom of heaven, that state of harmony, abundance, and perfect health, isn't somewhere out there waiting for us after physical death or requiring divine intervention. It's something that unfolds from within us when we align our thinking with universal principles. Jesus himself expressed this profound truth when he declared, "The kingdom of God is within you." This wasn't a mystical abstraction, but a practical revelation about how reality operates. Every spiritual tradition, in its purest form, has attempted to communicate this fundamental revelation. Your consciousness is the gateway through which the infinite expresses itself in your individual experience. The Vedic traditions called it Aham Brahmasmi, I am the creative principle. The Hermetic traditions proclaimed, as above, so below, as within, so without. The Taoist masters taught the principle of Wu Wei, alignment with the natural flow of universal energy. The revolutionary insight across all these teachings is that transformation doesn't come from acquiring something external or reaching some distant destination. It comes from removing the mental and emotional interference that blocks the perfect expression that's already present within you. It's not about becoming something you're not. It's about revealing what you've always been beneath the accumulated layers of limiting beliefs, cultural programming, and unconscious patterns. This perspective completely shifts your relationship with spiritual practice. Meditation isn't about achieving some special state, but about clearing away the mental noise that obscures your natural state of peace. Prayer isn't about begging for external intervention, but about aligning your consciousness with the creative power that's already expressing through you. Visualization isn't about imagining something that doesn't exist, but about connecting with the perfect pattern that exists in potential, waiting for your recognition. The journey of mastery involves learning to harness the phenomenal creative power of your subconscious by feeding it only what you wish to see manifested in your experience. This requires developing a new relationship with your thoughts and emotions, becoming incredibly selective about what you allow to take root in the fertile soil of your mind. Every thought you entertain, every emotion you sustain, every mental image you hold with feeling is literally programming your subconscious to create corresponding circumstances in your external reality. Write in the comments, I choose my thoughts. Consciously, if you're beginning to recognize how selective attention to your mental content is the master key to creating the life you truly desire. What if I told you that every limitation you've ever experienced was not a fixed reality, but simply a misunderstanding of how creation actually works? Every barrier that's ever stood in your way, every ceiling you've hit, every obstacle that seemed insurmountable wasn't an external reality you needed to overcome, but an internal concept you accepted as truth. This revelation completely transforms how you approach challenges because it shifts your focus from battling external circumstances to revising internal patterns. The journey of awakening to your limitless potential begins with this profound understanding. The universe doesn't place restrictions on what you can accomplish, experience, or become. Those limitations exist only in consciousness, appearing solid and permanent only because you've given them your belief. When you withdraw your belief from limitation and place it in possibility instead, what seemed impossible yesterday becomes inevitably yours today. Consider the breakthrough moments in human achievement. The 4-minute mile that was physically impossible until Roger Bannister ran it, making it common afterward. The limits of human flight that were scientific fact until the Wright brothers disproved them. The boundaries of technological advancement that were insurmountable until innovators like Edison, Tesla and Jobs shattered them with their conviction. These weren't people who overcame external limitations. They were individuals who refused to internalize the collective misunderstandings of their time. This understanding reveals the hidden truth behind all authentic spiritual teachings. The kingdom of heaven, that state of fulfillment, abundance and creative power, was never meant to be found through external pursuit. It exists within your own consciousness, waiting to be recognized and expressed through your alignment with universal principles. You weren't sent here to search for something outside yourself, but to remember and reclaim what's already yours by divine inheritance. Think about the most successful people you know, those rare individuals who seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, maintain vibrant health, navigate challenges with unshakable confidence, and manifest their desires with remarkable consistency. What truly separates them from everyone else? It's not luck, though it may appear that way to observers. It's not connections, though those naturally develop around them. It's not even raw talent or intelligence, though these certainly contribute. Subscribe to continue exploring these powerful truths with our community of conscious creators. When you hit that subscribe button, you're not just following a channel. You're committing to your own awakening and ensuring you never miss the next revelation on this path. The defining factor that sets them apart is something far more fundamental: their inner conviction, their mental blueprint, their unconscious expectation that life works in their favor. They've tapped into something that operates behind the scenes of ordinary awareness, an invisible architecture of creation that most people never consciously engage. While others are fighting against circumstances, these individuals are aligning with the creative flow that shapes circumstances. Look closely, and you'll notice that these successful people don't experience success occasionally. They embody a success consciousness that permeates every area of their lives. Their relationships thrive with the same natural ease as their finances. Their health radiates with the same vitality as their creative endeavors. Their spiritual connection flows with the same clarity as their practical decisions. This isn't coincidence, but consequence, the inevitable result of maintaining mental patterns that attract harmonious experiences across all dimensions of life. What these individuals have mastered, whether consciously or intuitively, is the art of expectation. They don't hope for positive outcomes, they assume them as the natural order of things. They don't wish for fortunate timing, they anticipate it as the inevitable result of their alignment with universal flow. They don't beg for resources, they recognize abundance as their birthright and act from that recognition with unwavering confidence. This mastery isn't about forcing outcomes through willpower or manipulating circumstances through clever strategies. It's about cultivating an inner atmosphere so completely aligned with success principles that the outer world naturally reorganizes to match this internal reality. These individuals understand, perhaps without articulating it explicitly, that the outer is always a reflection of the inner, that circumstances follow consciousness with mathematical precision. The revelation that transforms everything is recognizing that this same creative power lives within you right now, regardless of your current circumstances. The same principles that operate for these visibly successful people are available to you in this very moment. The question isn't whether you have access to this creative power. You are this creative power individualized as your unique expression of consciousness. Write in the comments, "I release all limitations from my mind," if you're ready to step beyond the misunderstandings that have been constraining your expression and reclaim the boundless creative power that's your spiritual inheritance. This hidden truth becomes visible when you realize that your current circumstances are simply the external reflection of your predominant mental patterns. Nothing in your life exists independently of what's happening in your inner world. Your outer reality is constantly conforming to your inner blueprint with unwavering precision. This isn't metaphorical, it's the fundamental mechanism of creation operating in every moment of your experience. Your bank account, for instance, isn't just a collection of numbers determined by economic forces or employment opportunities. It's a perfect reflection of your money consciousness, the sum total of your beliefs, expectations, fears, and assumptions about abundance and scarcity. People with identical incomes can have radically different financial experiences because they're operating from different inner templates about what money means, how it flows, and what they deserve to receive. Your relationships mirror your self-worth beliefs with equal precision. The way others treat you, the depth of connection you experience, the patterns of attraction and repulsion that appear in your interactions, all are external projections of your internal relationship with yourself. The person struggling with critical partners is usually harboring self-criticism beneath the surface. The individual repeatedly attracting unavailable connections is often emotionally unavailable to themselves in subtle ways. Your health expresses your inner harmony or conflict with absolute fidelity. Every cell in your body responds to the mental atmosphere you maintain. Persistent stress, resentment, and fear create biological responses that manifest as physical symptoms. Peace, acceptance, and love generate entirely different biochemical cascades that support healing and vitality. Your body isn't betraying you when illness appears. It's faithfully expressing the consciousness you've been maintaining, often unconsciously. Your career and creative endeavors manifest your sense of purpose and value in the world. The contributions you make, the recognition you receive, the impact you have, all reflect your internal beliefs about your gifts and their worth. Someone might have extraordinary talent, but experience limited success because their inner blueprint contains restrictions about visibility, deservingness, or what's possible for someone like me. The revelation that transforms everything is recognizing that nothing in your outer world exists independently of what's happening in your inner world. But here's where the real breakthrough begins. Most people try to change their circumstances by attacking the external symptoms rather than addressing the internal causes. This approach creates temporary shifts at best because they're attempting to alter the reflection instead of changing what's creating the reflection. It's like trying to change your appearance in a mirror by adjusting the mirror rather than adjusting yourself. You might create momentary illusions of change, but the moment you stop manipulating the reflection, it returns to accurately showing what's standing before it. This explains why so many attempts at transformation prove frustrating and short-lived. People work harder for money without addressing their scarcity consciousness, then wonder why financial struggles persist despite increased income. They seek validation through relationships without healing their self-worth wounds, then find the same patterns repeating with new partners. They treat physical symptoms without addressing the mental and emotional patterns creating them, then experience the same issues returning in different forms. The journey of authentic transformation begins when you redirect your focus from manipulating external conditions to consciously creating internal patterns that naturally produce the conditions you desire. Instead of exhausting yourself fighting against circumstances, you learn to work with the creative principle that shapes circumstances. Instead of treating symptoms, you resolve root causes in consciousness. This isn't about ignoring practical action in the external world. It's about understanding that effective action flows from aligned consciousness rather than from struggle against perceived limitations. When your internal patterns are in harmony with what you wish to create, your external actions become intuitive, effortless, and exponentially more effective. You stop swimming against the current and start moving with the creative flow that wants to support your highest expression. The supreme art that very few master is learning to think with precision and intention. This isn't about positive thinking or wishful hoping. It's about understanding how to create what I call mental equivalents, clear, emotionally charged inner images that serve as blueprints for manifestation. Every invention, every building, every relationship, every achievement in human history first existed as a mental equivalent in someone's consciousness before it appeared in physical form. Write in the comments, I now understand the mirror of life. If you're beginning to see how your circumstances are reflecting patterns you've been maintaining in consciousness, often without realizing their creative power. Your subconscious mind operates like the most sophisticated manufacturing system ever created, constantly taking whatever mental equivalent you consistently feed it with emotion and orchestrating circumstances, attracting people, and creating opportunities to match that inner pattern. This isn't metaphysical speculation. It's the fundamental mechanism through which all creation operates, from the smallest personal achievement to the most revolutionary innovation in human history. Consider how this process unfolds in the visible world. Before any architect begins construction on a building, that structure exists first as a detailed blueprint. Before any artist creates a masterpiece, the composition already lives completely in their imagination. Before any entrepreneur launches a successful venture, the business exists as a clear vision in their mind. This sequence never varies. Mental equivalent first, physical manifestation second. What most people fail to recognize is that this same principle governs every aspect of your life experience, not just conscious creative projects. The conditions of your health, the quality of your relationships, the state of your finances, all are physical manifestations of blueprints you've been holding in consciousness, often without realizing their creative power. Your current reality in every detail is the faithful reproduction of mental equivalents you've been sustaining with emotional intensity. A mental equivalent functions exactly like an architectural blueprint. It provides specific instructions for what to build, how to arrange the components, and what the finished structure should look like. The more detailed and emotionally charged your mental equivalent, the more precise the physical manifestation becomes. Vague, uncertain mental patterns produce confused, unstable results. Clear, consistent mental patterns produce defined, reliable outcomes. The revelation that transforms everything is understanding that your subconscious doesn't distinguish between mental equivalents you create deliberately and those you absorb unconsciously from your environment. It doesn't evaluate whether a blueprint will serve your highest good or create limitation in your experience. It simply accepts whatever pattern receives your focused attention and emotional energy. Then begins the mysterious process of bringing that pattern into physical expression. This manufacturing process operates through channels that often appear coincidental to the untrained eye. You hold a clear mental equivalent of a new opportunity, and suddenly, perfect contact calls unexpectedly. You maintain an inner blueprint of vibrant health, and you're mysteriously drawn to exactly the right information, practitioners, or healing modalities. You nurture a mental equivalent of harmonious relationships, and the people around you begin responding differently without any external conversation about the change. The subconscious doesn't announce how it will manifest your mental equivalence. It doesn't need your conscious mind's permission or assistance to begin arranging circumstances. It simply responds to the blueprints you provide with unwavering fidelity, coordinating countless details behind the scenes of your awareness to produce results that precisely match your inner pattern. What makes this process so extraordinary is its absolute impartiality. The manufacturing system of your subconscious doesn't make value judgments about the blueprints it receives. It doesn't decide some mental equivalents are more worthy of manifestation than others. It operates with the same precision, whether you're creating limitation or expansion, conflict or harmony, lack or abundance. The system itself is neutral. The results you experience depend entirely on the blueprints you provide. This understanding places tremendous responsibility in your hands, but it also grants you remarkable creative freedom. If you've been unconsciously maintaining mental equivalents of struggle, limitation, or discord, you can consciously replace them with blueprints of ease, expansion, and harmony. The same manufacturing system that faithfully produced your current circumstances will work with equal dedication to manifest your new mental patterns. The challenge many people face is that they try to create new circumstances while continuing to hold the mental equivalents that produced their current reality. They affirm abundance while maintaining inner blueprints of scarcity. They visualize health while holding mental equivalents of vulnerability. They pursue harmonious relationships while sustaining inner patterns of conflict. This creates a contradictory manufacturing instruction that results in inconsistent, frustrating outcomes. The mastery comes in learning to construct mental equivalents with scientific precision, creating detailed, emotionally charged inner blueprints that your subconscious can work with effectively. This isn't about vague wishes or casual daydreaming. It's about deliberately building crystal-clear inner representations of what you intend to experience, then charging those representations with genuine emotion until they feel more real than current circumstances. When you can sustain these mental equivalents consistently, when you can return to them despite contradictory external evidence, when you can feel their reality even before physical manifestation appears, you've mastered the fundamental technology of conscious creation. Your subconscious manufacturing system begins working tirelessly to align your outer world with your inner blueprint, often in ways that appear miraculous to those who don't understand the principle at work. Write in the comments, "I am mastering my mental blueprints," if you're beginning to recognize how the mental equivalents you've been holding have shaped your current reality and how constructing new ones can transform your experience completely. The challenge is that most people are unconsciously programming this manufacturing system with mental equivalents of what they don't want, rather than what they desire. Think about the thoughts that occupy most people's mental atmosphere throughout a typical day. They're replaying past failures, analyzing what went wrong, and projecting those patterns into future scenarios. They're imagining worst-case outcomes for current situations, preparing emotionally for disappointment rather than success. They're focusing on problems rather than solutions, giving their creative energy to what they want to avoid instead of what they wish to experience. This unconscious programming happens constantly through the background narrative running in your mind. When you encounter a financial challenge, does your inner conversation revolve around, "I can't afford this," or "money is always tight for me"? When you think about your health, do you mentally rehearse concerns about vulnerability or family medical history? When you consider relationships, Do you find yourself anticipating misunderstandings or preparing for rejection? These habitual thought patterns aren't random mental activity. They're detailed manufacturing instructions being delivered directly to your subconscious. The media you consume, the conversations you participate in, even the idle daydreaming you engage in while driving or showering, all are programming your creative mechanism with specific blueprints. Most people allow this programming to occur completely by default, absorbing limiting patterns from their environment without filtering them through conscious choice. They allow news headlines, social media feeds, and casual conversations to implant mental equivalents that their subconscious faithfully manifests as experience. The journey of awakening begins with this profound recognition. You've been the artist of your own experience all along. Every decision you've made, every belief you've accepted, every mental picture you've held with feeling has contributed to painting the canvas of your current reality. This realization is simultaneously humbling and empowering because it means that if you created this experience unconsciously, you can absolutely create a new one with conscious intention. This understanding removes victimhood from your identity forever. You can no longer blame circumstances, other people, or outside forces for your experience when you recognize your own creative participation. This isn't about taking blame or feeling guilty about current challenges. It's about reclaiming the creative power that's been operating through you all along, often without your conscious awareness or direction. The revelation transforms everything because it places the brush back in your hand. If you've been unconsciously painting scenes of limitation, struggle, or discord, you can consciously begin creating images of expansion, ease, and harmony. If you've been allowing others to determine the colors and shapes on your canvas, you can reclaim your artistic authority and paint according to your own vision. The same creative mechanism that manifested your current reality will work with equal dedication to produce a new experience when you provide new blueprints. The pivotal shift happens when you move from reactive to proactive creation, from unconsciously responding to circumstances with habitual thought patterns, to consciously designing mental equivalents that align with your deepest values and highest vision. This transition doesn't happen instantly. It requires persistent attention and practice. You're essentially retraining your mind after years of running on autopilot, redirecting thought habits that may have been developing since childhood. Consider the watershed moment when a person realizes they can actually choose their thoughts rather than being controlled by them. This recognition represents an evolutionary leap in consciousness, moving from being the passive vehicle of mental activity to becoming the active director of your creative power. It's like discovering that you've been sitting in the passenger seat of your own life, watching someone else drive, only to realize that you can take the wheel any time you choose. The practical implementation begins with increased awareness of your current mental patterns. Without judgment or self-criticism, simply notice the equivalence you've been maintaining. What images dominate your mental landscape? What stories do you habitually tell about yourself, others, and the world? What expectations have you normalized as just how things are? This inventory isn't about changing anything initially. It's about becoming conscious of the artistic choices you've been making unconsciously. As awareness develops, you gain the ability to interrupt patterns that don't serve your highest expression and consciously substitute empowering alternatives. When you catch yourself rehearsing limitation, you can pause and redirect your creative energy toward possibility instead. When you notice yourself focusing on problems, you can deliberately shift attention to solutions. This isn't denial or avoidance, it's strategic direction of your creative power toward what you wish to manifest rather than what you hope to avoid. Write in the comments, "I am the conscious creator of my reality," if you're beginning to recognize both the responsibility and the extraordinary freedom that comes with understanding your role as the artist of your own experience. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and show you exactly how to construct these mental equivalents with scientific precision, because there's a specific methodology that accelerates this entire process, turning what might take years into something that can shift in weeks or even days when you apply these principles correctly. This isn't about random visualization or casual positive thinking. It's about understanding the exact mechanics of how consciousness creates reality and working with those mechanics deliberately. The methodology centers around what I call emotional imprinting, the process of charging mental images with such genuine feeling that your subconscious accepts them as real experience rather than intellectual concepts. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between an intensely imagined experience and an actual physical experience when both carry the same emotional signature. This is why simply thinking about an embarrassing moment can trigger the same physiological response as when it originally occurred. Your body responds to the emotional imprint, not to the objective reality. This principle becomes revolutionary when you apply it intentionally to create what you desire, rather than unconsciously reinforcing what you don't want. When you can generate the authentic feeling of already having what you wish to manifest, the security of financial abundance, the vitality of perfect health, the connection of harmonious relationships, you're essentially sending your subconscious manufacturing system a message that this is your current reality, not just a future possibility. Your awakening as a conscious creator begins with understanding that your mind operates like a sophisticated transmitting station, constantly broadcasting signals that the universe receives and reflects back to you as experience. Every thought, every emotion, every belief you maintain is sending specific frequencies into the field of infinite possibility, and that field is responding with exact precision, manifesting circumstances that match your broadcast. When you learn to substitute the fearful mental broadcasts with signals of faith, when you replace worry with confident expectation, when you stop rehearsing problems and start visualizing solutions, you literally change the frequency you're transmitting. This isn't metaphorical. It's as real and measurable as switching from one radio station to another. Different frequencies produce entirely different experiences, even while moving through the same external environment. The transformation happens when you recognize that this transmission isn't happening occasionally when you consciously visualize or affirm. It's happening continuously, in every moment, through your predominant mental and emotional state. The circumstances you're experiencing right now are the precise reflection of the broadcasts you've been sending, often without conscious awareness of the transmission. This process goes far deeper than surface-level optimism or positive affirmations. You're learning to build crystal-clear mental images that serve as detailed blueprints for manifestation. Instead of vague hopes and wishes, you're creating precise specifications that your subconscious mind can actually work with. It's the difference between saying, "I want to be healthier," and creating a vivid inner experience of yourself moving with vitality, breathing freely, feeling energetic and alive in your body. The revelation that accelerates this entire process is understanding that your inner experience creates your outer reality, not the other way around. Most people believe they'll feel abundant when they have more money, feel healthy when symptoms disappear, feel loved when the right person appears. This backwards understanding keeps them locked in a perpetual waiting game, trying to extract specific inner experiences from external circumstances. The breakthrough comes when you realize that generating the inner experience first, the feeling of abundance, health, love, or any Other desired state actually creates the blueprint that your subconscious uses to manifest matching circumstances. When you can maintain the inner feeling of what you desire with greater consistency than the feeling of what you're currently experiencing, your reality must shift to align with your predominant emotional broadcast. This methodology becomes even more powerful when you understand that what you've been calling prayer can transform into something far more dynamic, not begging or pleading with a distant deity, but making clear affirmations of what's already true in the realm of infinite possibility. You're not asking for something to be given to you, you're recognizing and claiming what already belongs to you by spiritual right. Write in the comments, "I am a powerful broadcasting station," if you're beginning to feel the magnitude of your creative capacity and are ready to consciously direct the signals you're transmitting into the universe rather than broadcasting by default. This transformation in your broadcast frequency isn't just a minor adjustment, it's a complete revolution in how you relate to creation itself. Think about what happens when you consistently operate from fear, worry, and doubt. These emotional states create specific electromagnetic signatures that ripple through the quantum field, attracting corresponding experiences with mathematical precision. When you worry about financial scarcity, you're literally transmitting on the lack frequency, drawing circumstances that confirm your fears. When you anxiously anticipate relationship difficulties, you're broadcasting on the conflict channel, attracting interactions that match that expectation. The breakthrough moment comes when you realize you can consciously choose which frequency to broadcast on at any moment. This isn't about denying your current circumstances or pretending everything is perfect when challenges exist. It's about strategically directing your creative power toward what you intend to manifest rather than unconsciously reinforcing what you're trying to overcome. Imagine a radio station that's been unconsciously broadcasting static and interference, suddenly discovering it can transmit crystal-clear symphony instead. The same transmitter that sent confusion can now send clarity. The same creative mechanism that manifested limitation can now manifest expansion. The power hasn't changed, only the signal being transmitted. When you deliberately substitute signals of faith for broadcasts of fear, when you replace worry with confident expectation, when you visualize solutions rather than rehearsing problems, you're not just thinking differently, you're literally altering the energetic template that the universe uses to organize your experience. This shift happens first in consciousness, often before any visible evidence appears in your circumstances. The revelation that accelerates this entire process is understanding that your subconscious mind works with precision, responding to detailed specifications rather than vague generalities. Most people approach manifestation with fuzzy, ambiguous intentions that provide insufficient direction for their creative mechanism. They say, "I want more money," without specifying how much or by when. They wish for better health, without creating a clear image of how that would look and feel. They hope for improved relationships, without defining the specific qualities they desire. To experience, this process requires building crystal-clear mental images that serve as detailed blueprints for manifestation. Your subconscious doesn't respond effectively to abstract concepts or intellectual ideas. It works with sensory-rich imagery charged with genuine emotion. When you can see, hear, feel, and fully experience your desired outcome in imagination with all the clarity and intensity of actual experience, you're providing your manufacturing system with precise specifications it can implement. Instead of vaguely hoping for financial abundance, you create detailed inner experiences of seeing specific numbers in your accounts, feeling the emotional security that comes with those resources, imagining the specific ways you'll use that prosperity to enhance your life and contribute to others. Rather than wishing for better health, you mentally inhabit the experience of moving with ease, breathing deeply, feeling vibrant energy flowing through every cell, sensing the joy of physical vitality in everything you do. This level of specificity matters tremendously because your subconscious responds to the emotional quality of your mental images more than their intellectual content. When your visualizations contain rich sensory detail and genuine feeling, they penetrate beyond the conscious mind into the deeper creative centers that shape your reality. When visualizations remain abstract or emotionally flat, they bounce off the surface of consciousness without activating your manifestation mechanism. The journey of mastery involves developing what I call emotional precision, the ability to generate and sustain specific emotional states deliberately rather than reacting to external circumstances. Most people's emotions fluctuate wildly based on what's happening around them, creating inconsistent broadcasts that produce mixed results. True creators develop emotional stability, maintaining their desired feeling state regardless of temporary conditions or appearances. This emotional precision becomes particularly powerful when combined with mental clarity about what you intend to create. When you hold both a crystal clear vision of your desired outcome and the authentic feeling of already experiencing it, you're providing your subconscious with complete manufacturing instructions. The blueprint contains both the structural specifications, clear mental image, and the energetic signature, genuine emotion, needed for manifestation. Write in the comments, "I am developing emotional precision," if you're beginning to understand how combining detailed mental imagery with authentic feeling states creates the perfect blueprint for your subconscious to manifest into physical reality. The most powerful discovery in this journey is realizing that what you've been calling prayer can become something far more dynamic. Not begging or pleading with a distant deity, but making clear affirmations of what's already true in the realm of infinite possibility. This revelation completely transforms your relationship with the creative process, shifting you from the posture of a supplicant hoping for divine favor to the stance of a conscious co-creator aligned with universal principles. Traditional prayer often positions us as separated from the source of all good, humbly requesting that something be given to us from outside ourselves. We pray for healing as if health was something external that must be granted. We ask for prosperity as though abundance weren't our natural state. We plead for guidance as if wisdom weren't already present within us. This approach to prayer, though sincere, maintains the very separation it seeks to overcome. The breakthrough comes when you understand that authentic prayer isn't asking for something to be given to you, but recognizing and claiming what already belongs to you by spiritual right. You're not trying to convince a reluctant universe to grant your request. You're aligning your consciousness with what's already established in the realm of pure potential, allowing that potential to flow into manifestation through your awareness and acceptance. This applies to every area of your existence with mathematical precision. Your body responds to this type of affirmative prayer because perfect health is your spiritual blueprint, not something you need to beg for, but something you claim as your divine inheritance. Your financial flow reflects this consciousness because abundance is the natural state of a universe with infinite resources. Not a limited commodity you must struggle to acquire, but an ever-present reality you can tap into through aligned awareness. Your relationships mirror this understanding because harmony, love, and meaningful connection are the authentic expression of your spiritual nature, not distant ideals you hope to someday experience, but present realities you can claim through conscious recognition. Your sense of purpose emerges when you align with the deeper truth of who you really are, not something you need to discover outside yourself, but something you uncover by removing the layers of conditioning that have obscured your authentic expression. Behind all of this operates something that functions with the same reliability as gravity or electricity, what we might call the divine mind or universal intelligence. This isn't some mystical concept floating in the clouds. It's the organizing principle that coordinates billions of cells in your body, orchestrates the seasons, maintains planetary orbits, and responds to the quality of consciousness you bring to it. When you make an affirmative prayer declaring, "Perfect health is my divine inheritance, expressing through every cell of my body now," you're not trying to make something happen that isn't already true. You're recognizing and claiming a spiritual reality that's seeking expression through you at every moment. When you affirm, "Divine supply flows to me freely, abundantly, and without limitation," you're not attempting to create prosperity from nothing. You're aligning with the natural flow that's always moving toward you, removing the mental and emotional dams you've unconsciously constructed. The transformation in your results comes from the transformation in your understanding. As long as you approach prayer as petition, asking for something you don't have, you remain in the consciousness of lack, which can only produce more experiences of limitation. When you shift to affirmative prayer, declaring what's already true despite temporary appearances, you establish the consciousness of fulfillment, which naturally attracts corresponding circumstances. This isn't positive thinking or wishful hoping. It's working with fundamental spiritual law. Just as physical laws like gravity operate with absolute precision, regardless of your understanding or belief, these spiritual principles function with mathematical exactness in every moment of your experience. Your role isn't to make them work. They're always working. Your opportunity is to consciously align with them, rather than unconsciously working against them through misunderstanding. Write in the comments, "I am claiming my spiritual inheritance," if you're beginning to recognize the revolutionary power of affirmative prayer that acknowledges what's already yours, rather than begging for what seems distant or separate from you. Here's what's absolutely revolutionary about this understanding. There are no accidents in this system. No random occurrences, no arbitrary destinies imposed from outside. Every condition, every circumstance, every person who enters your experience is responding to the vibrational signature you're emanating through your predominant thoughts and feelings. The universe operates as perfect law, maintaining absolute order while expressing infinite love through its precise responsiveness to consciousness. This divine mind, or universal intelligence, isn't some distant force separate from your daily experience. It's the same intelligence that coordinates the billions of cells in your body without your conscious management. It's the same wisdom that orchestrates the changing seasons with perfect timing. It's the same power that maintains planetary orbits and galaxy formations across billions of light years. And remarkably, this same intelligence responds to the quality of consciousness you bring to each moment. Consider the miracle of your physical body. Right now, without any conscious effort on your part, your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, your digestive system is processing nutrients, your immune system is protecting against countless potential threats, and your brain is coordinating thousands of functions simultaneously. This isn't happening by chance or random biochemical accidents. There's an organizing intelligence at work, a blueprint of perfect functioning that maintains order amid incredible complexity. The revelation that transforms everything is recognizing that this same intelligence is operating through every aspect of your life experience, not just your physical body. It's orchestrating the seemingly coincidental meetings that lead to extraordinary opportunities. It's arranging the perfect timing of events that couldn't possibly be coordinated through human planning. It's bringing you exactly the teachers, challenges, and resources you need for your highest evolution at precisely the right moment. What appears as chance to the untrained eye is actually the perfect unfolding of cosmic law to those who understand the system. The person who comes into your life with exactly the connection you need, the book that falls open to exactly the page containing your answer, the random delay that prevents you from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. These aren't fortunate accidents, but precise responses to your consciousness. The profound implication is that you're never truly abandoned or left to figure things out alone. The same intelligence that knows how to heal a cut on your finger without your conscious direction knows how to bring you the perfect circumstances for your growth and fulfillment. The same wisdom that orchestrates the development of a single cell into a complete human being is orchestrating the development of your life purpose through each experience you encounter. But here's where your responsibility enters the equation. This universal intelligence doesn't override your free will or impose outcomes against your chosen vibration. It responds with absolute precision to the quality of consciousness you maintain. When your thoughts, feelings, and expectations are aligned with limitation, struggle, or conflict, the divine mind faithfully organizes circumstances that match those patterns. When you shift to thoughts, feelings, and expectations of abundance, ease, and harmony, the same intelligence reorganizes your experience to reflect that new vibration. You're not controlling the intelligence itself. You're directing how it expresses through your individual experience by the quality of signal you broadcast. This isn't about manipulating circumstances through force of will. It's about aligning your consciousness with the highest possibilities already existing in the field of pure potential, allowing the universal intelligence to manifest those possibilities through the perfect coordination of events, people, and circumstances. The transformation in your results comes from understanding that you're not trying to make things happen through personal effort alone. You're learning to harmonize with the intelligence that's already orchestrating everything, allowing it to work through you and for you with greater ease and precision. This shift from struggling against circumstances to flowing with the creative intelligence behind all circumstances changes everything about how you approach challenges and opportunities. Write in the comments, "I trust the perfect intelligence of the universe." If you're beginning to sense the profound support that's always available when you align your consciousness with the divine mind that orchestrates all creation with perfect precision, this means that when you change the quality of your thinking, when you shift from fear-based patterns to faith-based patterns, when you move from scarcity consciousness to abundance consciousness, the external world must reorganize itself to match your new inner state. It's not magic. It's the natural operation of spiritual law. This responsiveness isn't arbitrary or selective. It's as reliable as mathematics, as consistent as physics. The universe doesn't play favorites or make exceptions. It responds to the quality of consciousness you bring to each moment with unwavering precision. Think about what this revelation means for your journey of transformation. You're not hoping to convince an external power to grant your wishes or waiting for random chance to deliver favorable circumstances. You're working with an intelligence that's already designed to manifest whatever vibration you consistently hold in consciousness. The same law that manifests limitation when you focus on what's lacking will manifest abundance when you focus on the infinite supply that's always available. This perfect law operates with such precision that it responds not just to your conscious affirmations, but to your deeper beliefs, expectations, and emotional patterns. This explains why simply repeating positive statements often produces limited results. If your conscious declarations of abundance are contradicted by subconscious beliefs in scarcity, The law responds to the deeper pattern rather than the surface affirmation. The universe isn't confused by this contradiction. It simply manifests according to your predominant vibration. The revelation that accelerates your transformation is understanding that this law operates through resonance rather than through effort or worthiness. Just as a tuning fork vibrating at a specific frequency will cause another tuning fork of the same frequency to vibrate in harmony, your consciousness in a state of peace naturally attracts peaceful circumstances. Your consciousness in a state of abundance naturally draws experiences of prosperity. Your consciousness in a state of love naturally manifests loving relationships. You don't need to force these manifestations through willpower or endless action. You simply need to establish and maintain the inner state that resonates with what you wish to experience. The external world can't help but respond to this resonance, not because it's trying to reward you, but because it's designed to maintain perfect alignment between inner states and outer circumstances. The law itself is impersonal, but its responsiveness to your unique consciousness makes it feel deeply personal, almost like a loving intelligence anticipating your every need. What makes this principle so extraordinary is that it operates regardless of your current circumstances, past experiences, or external limitations. Someone surrounded by scarcity can establish an inner state of abundance that eventually transforms their external reality. A person experiencing physical illness can cultivate an inner pattern of perfect health that gradually reorganizes their body's functioning. Someone in challenging relationships can develop an inner atmosphere of harmony that naturally attracts more supportive connections. The journey involves a fundamental shift in your relationship with time. Most people live in what I call conditional consciousness, believing they'll feel abundant when they have more money, feel healthy when symptoms disappear, feel loved when the right person appears. This approach keeps them perpetually waiting for external circumstances to change before they can experience their desired internal state. The breakthrough comes when you move into what I call causal consciousness, recognizing that establishing the inner state first is what causes the external manifestation. You don't wait to feel abundant until you have more money. You establish the consciousness of abundance that then attracts greater prosperity. You don't postpone feeling healthy until symptoms change. You cultivate the inner pattern of vitality that allows your body's natural healing to accelerate. This isn't about denying current challenges or pretending everything is perfect when it isn't. It's about strategically directing your consciousness toward what you intend to create rather than what you're trying to overcome. It's recognizing that your inner state isn't just a reaction to your circumstances. It's the primary creative force shaping those circumstances at the deepest level. Write in the comments, "I am aligning with perfect law," if you are beginning to recognize how the precise responsiveness of the universe to your consciousness puts incredible creative power in your hands once you understand how to work with this principle rather than against it. The implications of this are staggering. You're not just someone hoping for better circumstances. You are spirit in action, consciousness expressing itself through form, divine creativity individualized in human experience. Every thought you think, every feeling you sustain, every mental image you hold with emotion is actively participating in the creation of your reality. This isn't philosophical poetry. It's the fundamental mechanism through which all manifestation operates. When you truly grasp this revelation, your entire relationship with life transforms. You no longer see yourself as a physical being occasionally having spiritual experiences. You recognize yourself as a spiritual being having a physical experience. Consciousness itself taking form to explore, create, and expand through your unique perspective. Your human journey isn't separate from your spiritual nature. It's the perfect vehicle for that nature to express itself in this dimension of experience. This understanding liberates you from the victim mentality that plagues so many lives. You're not at the mercy of random circumstances, genetic programming, or social conditioning. Those influences exist, but they operate within the larger context of your spiritual nature, the creative consciousness that can transcend limitation, rewrite patterns, and manifest new possibilities regardless of past or present conditions. Your essential identity isn't defined by temporary circumstances, but by the eternal creative principle expressing through you in every moment. Think about what this means for your approach to challenges. You're not a helpless observer hoping things will improve. You're the active participant in a creative process, the individualized expression of the same power that orchestrates galaxies, now focused through your unique consciousness to shape your specific experience. This doesn't mean you won't encounter difficulties. It means you encounter them as opportunities for creative expression rather than as obstacles imposed from outside. Now I want to reveal the specific mechanics of how this creative process actually works, because there's a precise methodology that the greatest minds throughout history have used to deliberately manifest their visions into physical reality. Once you understand these mechanics, you'll never see yourself or your circumstances the same way again. This isn't about magical thinking or blind optimism. It's about working with fundamental principles that operate with mathematical precision in every moment of your experience. These mechanics have been understood and applied by history's greatest creators, innovators, and visionaries, from Leonardo da Vinci to Thomas Edison, from Mozart to Einstein, from Mother Teresa to Martin Luther King Jr. While they might not have used the same terminology or conceptual frameworks, they all intuited and worked with the same creative process that transforms inner vision into outer manifestation. Their extraordinary achievements weren't accidents or anomalies, but the natural results of aligning with universal principles, whether consciously or intuitively. The methodology centers around what I call the three phases of manifestation: conception, gestation, and birth. Just as a child develops through these distinct phases in the physical realm, every creation follows the same sequence in the realm of consciousness. The conception phase involves receiving the inspired idea or vision with complete clarity and emotional conviction. The gestation phase involves nurturing that vision through consistent mental attention and emotional energy, despite external evidence to the contrary. The birth phase involves taking inspired action that aligns with the inner blueprint, allowing the manifestation to emerge into physical form. What separates the greatest creators from everyone else isn't talent or resources, but their mastery of these three phases. They understand that each phase requires a different quality of consciousness and a different type of engagement. Conception demands receptivity and vision. Gestation requires faith and persistence. Birth calls for courage and aligned action. When you learn to master all three phases in sequence, you become capable of manifestations that seem miraculous to those who don't understand the process. The revelation that transforms everything is recognizing that this creative process is already operating in your life right now, whether you're conscious of it or not. Every condition you're currently experiencing, from your health to your relationships, from your financial situation to your sense of purpose, has moved through these three phases of manifestation based on the mental seeds you've planted, the emotional energy you've provided, and the actions you've taken. Nothing in your experience is random or arbitrary. Everything is the result of this precise, creative mechanism responding to your predominant consciousness. Write in the comments, "I am spirit in creative action," if you're beginning to recognize your true identity as consciousness itself, expressing through human form. equipped with the same creative power that shapes universes, but now focused through your unique perspective and experience. The mechanics of this creative process operate with such precision that ancient wisdom and modern science are finally converging on the same revolutionary truth. What you're about to understand will change how you approach every single day of your life, because you're going to see that your thoughts aren't just random mental chatter. They're seeds being planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness. Every single thought you think, especially those charged with emotion, becomes a cause that must eventually produce an effect in your experience. The principle that governs this entire system was captured perfectly in one of the most powerful statements ever written. God is not mocked, for whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. This isn't religious doctrine or mystical speculation. It's describing the fundamental law of cause and effect, operating in the mental realm with the same reliability that governs the physical world. Just as planting corn seeds inevitably produces corn and not tomatoes, planting thoughts of limitation inevitably manifests experiences of constraint rather than freedom. This principle of mental causation operates through the medium of consciousness itself. Every thought you sustain with emotion becomes a seed charged with creative destiny. The thoughts themselves are neutral, neither good nor bad in an absolute sense. Their creative power comes from the quality of consciousness behind them and the emotional energy you invest in them. A thought of abundance sustained with genuine faith produces entirely different results than the same thought held with doubt or wishful thinking. But here's where the deeper truth behind this principle is revealed through the parable of the sower. The same seed can produce completely different results, depending on the condition of the soil where it's planted. When your mind is distracted, scattered, filled with anxiety and superficial concerns, even the most powerful positive thoughts can't take root and grow. It's like trying to plant a garden in rocky ground. The seeds get choked out before they can develop into manifestation. However, when you cultivate mental soil through attention, depth, and genuine faith, the same thoughts that might have been powerless in a chaotic mind suddenly become incredibly fertile. This is why two people can use identical affirmations or visualization techniques and get completely different results. It's not about the technique itself, it's about the quality of consciousness behind the technique, the fertile soil that allows the seed to develop into full manifestation. The revelation that transforms everything is realizing that your mind operates like the most sophisticated farming system imaginable. Just as a farmer can predict with certainty that planting corn will produce corn and not tomatoes, you can predict with scientific accuracy what your predominant thoughts will create in your experience. This isn't mystical speculation, it's observable law operating with mathematical precision in every area of your life. When you consistently sow thoughts rooted in love, appreciation, and genuine care for others, you inevitably harvest experiences of harmony, support, and meaningful connections. When you plant seeds of gratitude and abundance consciousness, your external circumstances must reorganize to reflect that inner prosperity. The universe responds to your mental farming with the same precision that water boils at exactly 100 degrees at standard pressure. Not sometimes, not occasionally, but every single time, without exception. Conversely, when you allow your mental garden to be overrun with thoughts of criticism, resentment, and judgment toward others, you're guaranteeing a harvest of conflict and discord in your relationships. When you repeatedly focus on lack, limitation, and what's going wrong, you're programming your subconscious to attract more experiences that confirm those patterns. This isn't punishment or reward, it's simply how the system works. The creative intelligence behind all existence doesn't play favorites or make exceptions. It responds with mathematical exactness to whatever mental atmosphere you maintain. Your thoughts are broadcasting instructions to this infinite organizing power, and it faithfully manifests whatever you've consistently impressed upon it. The transformative moment comes when you realize that if this system is already operating in your life with perfect precision, then you can consciously direct it toward outcomes you actually desire. Instead of unconsciously planting seeds of worry and then wondering why your life feels chaotic, you can deliberately cultivate thoughts that will produce the experiences you want to live. Write in the comments, "I am a conscious mental gardener," if you're beginning to recognize the profound responsibility and incredible opportunity that comes with understanding your thoughts as seeds planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness. Now, I want to reveal something that most people never discover about this mental farming process. When you look more closely at the parable of the sower, you find a profound revelation about why some thoughts manifest quickly and powerfully, while others seem to evaporate without effect. The same seed, the identical thought or affirmation, produces dramatically different results depending on the condition of the soil where it's planted. When your mind is cluttered with distractions, worries, and superficial concerns, it resembles the pathway in the parable where seeds fell but couldn't penetrate the hard-packed ground. You might speak powerful affirmations or visualize desired outcomes, but these mental seeds remain on the surface of consciousness, unable to penetrate to the deeper levels where manifestation begins. The birds of doubt and distraction quickly devour them before they can take root. In other moments, your mental soil resembles the rocky ground. There's enough depth for seeds to initially sprout with enthusiasm. You feel momentarily inspired by a new idea or possibility, but lacking sufficient depth. These thoughts wither when challenges appear. This is why so many people experience brief excitement about their creative visions only to abandon them at the first sign of difficulty. The mental soil couldn't sustain growth beyond the initial sprouting. Sometimes your consciousness resembles the ground choked with thorns. Your positive thoughts and creative visions initially develop roots and begin growing, but they ultimately get strangled by competing concerns. The worries about money, health, relationships, and daily responsibilities that consume your mental and emotional energy. The seeds were good, but the environment couldn't support their full development. The breakthrough comes when you learn to cultivate what the parable calls good ground, a mental atmosphere of receptivity, focus, emotional depth, and persistent attention. In this state of consciousness, the same seeds that previously failed to produce now yield 30, 60, or 100-fold returns. The thoughts themselves haven't changed. The condition of the mental soil that receives them has transformed completely. This understanding reveals why mental preparation is actually more important than the specific affirmations or visualizations you use. Before planting seeds in physical soil, a wise farmer first removes rocks, pulls weeds, adds nutrients, and ensures proper drainage. Similarly, before implanting thoughts in your mental soil, you need to clear limited beliefs, release emotional toxicity, establish mental clarity, and create receptivity to new possibilities. The hidden truth that changes everything is realizing that your mind operates like the most sophisticated farming system imaginable. Just as a farmer can predict with absolute certainty that planting corn seeds will produce corn and not tomatoes or wheat, you can predict with scientific accuracy what your predominant thoughts will create in your experience. This isn't mystical speculation, it's observable law operating in every moment of your life. When you plant thoughts of lack and limitation, they inevitably produce experiences of scarcity. When you sow seeds of self-criticism and judgment, they grow into harvests of disappointment and frustration. When you cultivate worry and anxiety about the future, they manifest as precisely the conditions you feared. The farming system itself is neutral. It simply grows whatever you plant with the same unwavering fidelity. What makes this mental farming system so extraordinary is its absolute reliability. It never fails to produce a crop that matches the seeds you've planted. It never arbitrarily decides to grow apples from orange seeds or manifest prosperity from thoughts of poverty. The system operates with perfect precision in every moment, responding to the quality and consistency of your mental planting with mathematical exactness. The revolutionary insight that transforms everything is recognizing that this same reliable system can work in your favor with equal precision. When you consciously plant thoughts of abundance rather than scarcity, love rather than fear, possibility rather than limitation, the farming mechanism of your mind must, by its very nature, produce experiences that match these new seeds. The system doesn't distinguish between positive and negative seeds. It simply grows whatever receives your predominant mental and emotional energy. This understanding places tremendous responsibility in your hands. You can no longer blame circumstances, other people, or external conditions for the reality you're experiencing. At the same time, it grants you extraordinary freedom. If you've been unconsciously planting seeds that produced unwanted harvests, you can consciously begin sowing different thoughts that will inevitably yield more desirable experiences when planted in properly prepared mental soil. Write in the comments, "I am tending my mental garden," if you're ready to take full responsibility for the quality of seeds you're planting in the fertile soil of your consciousness, recognizing that every thought you consistently maintain will ultimately produce a harvest of corresponding experiences in your life. When you consistently sow thoughts rooted in love, appreciation, and genuine care for others, you inevitably harvest experiences of harmony, support, and meaningful connections. This isn't wishful thinking or New Age philosophy. It's the precise operation of mental law that functions with the reliability of mathematics. The thoughts you plant today become the reality you experience tomorrow, next week, next month, and throughout your journey. Think about what happens when you maintain an inner atmosphere of gratitude and abundance consciousness. You're literally programming your subconscious to recognize, attract, and create experiences that match this vibration. Opportunities that others miss become visible to you. Resources that seemed unavailable suddenly appear through unexpected channels. Supportive people enter your life at precisely the right moment to assist your progress. This isn't coincidence or good luck. It's the natural harvest from seeds of abundance you've been planting in consciousness. Conversely, when you allow your mental garden to be overrun with thoughts of criticism, resentment, and judgment toward others, you're guaranteeing a harvest of conflict and discord in your relationships. When you repeatedly focus on lack, limitation, and what's going wrong, you're programming your subconscious to attract more experiences that confirm those patterns. The universe isn't punishing you for negative thinking or rewarding you for positive thinking. It's simply growing whatever seeds you plant with unwavering fidelity. What makes this principle so transformative is its absolute impartiality. Creative intelligence doesn't play favorites or make exceptions. It doesn't matter who your parents were, where you grew up, what education you received, or what challenges you faced. The creative mechanism responds with mathematical exactness to whatever mental atmosphere you maintain, regardless of your background, circumstances, or personal history. Your thoughts are broadcasting instructions to this infinite organizing power, and it faithfully manifests whatever you've consistently impressed upon it. If you think thoughts of health with genuine conviction, the creative intelligence works through your body's systems to manifest greater vitality. If you maintain thoughts of prosperity with emotional intensity, This same intelligence organizes circumstances, opportunities, and resources to reflect this consciousness. If you cultivate thoughts of harmonious relationships, the creative principle brings this pattern into expression through your interactions with others. This creative process operates without judgment or evaluation. It doesn't decide some people are more worthy of manifestation than others. It doesn't grant special privileges based on external factors like appearance, social status, or material possessions. It responds solely to the quality of consciousness you bring to each moment, manifesting with equal precision for everyone according to their predominant mental patterns. Understanding this impartiality is crucial because it removes any sense of victimhood or special disadvantage from your identity. You can no longer believe the universe is somehow conspiring against you, or that you've been singled out for particular difficulties. The same law that operates for the most visibly successful people on the planet is operating for you right now with identical precision. The only difference lies in the quality of consciousness being offered to the creative mechanism, not in the mechanism itself. This understanding places tremendous power in your hands because it means your current limitations aren't fixed or permanent. They're simply the natural harvest from seeds you've been planting, often unconsciously. And if you can plant different seeds in the fertile soil of your consciousness, you can create a different harvest in your experience. The transformative moment comes when you realize that if this system is already operating in your life with perfect precision, then you can consciously direct it toward outcomes you actually desire. Instead of unconsciously planting seeds of worry and then wondering why your life feels chaotic, you can deliberately cultivate thoughts that will produce the experiences you want to live. Instead of habitually focusing on what's lacking and then feeling victimized by continued scarcity, you can strategically direct your attention toward abundance and watch as your external circumstances gradually reorganize to match this new pattern. The creative principle doesn't care whether you use it consciously or unconsciously. It responds with equal fidelity either way. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and reveal the specific technique that can accelerate your results dramatically by ensuring that your positive seeds take root quickly and grow without being choked out by old mental weeds that try to reclaim the territory. There's a methodical approach to mental gardening that can transform your results completely when you understand not just what to plant, but how to prepare the soil, how to nurture emerging growth, and how to protect your mental crops from the inevitable challenges that arise during the manifestation process. Write in the comments, I harvest what I plant in consciousness, if you're beginning to recognize the profound responsibility and extraordinary opportunity that comes with understanding this fundamental principle of creation that's operating in your life in every moment. The technique that accelerates this entire process is understanding the hidden mechanism behind most human suffering and limitation. The devastating truth that most people never recognize is that they've been unconsciously seeding their mental garden for years, sometimes decades, without ever realizing what they were planting. Think about the revolutionary implications of this revelation. If this creative system is already operating in your life with perfect precision, then you have the power to consciously direct it toward outcomes you actually desire, rather than allowing it to run on automatic pilot. Imagine walking through life with your mental doors wide open, allowing every fear-based news story, every limiting belief from your family, programming every collective anxiety from society to just walk right into your subconscious and set up residence. This is exactly what happens when you don't guard your mental space consciously. You become a victim of inherited thinking, patterns that were never yours to begin with, but that you've accepted without questioning their source or validating their truth. The majority of the thoughts running through your mind right now aren't even original to you. They're hand-me-down beliefs passed down through generations. Cultural programming absorbed from media and social conditioning, inherited fears that your parents learned from their parents who learned from their parents. You're unconsciously perpetuating mental seeds that were planted long before you were born, and then wondering why your life feels stuck in familiar patterns of struggle. Here's what's both sobering and empowering about this revelation. The universal law of mind doesn't care whether you planted those seeds consciously or unconsciously. It doesn't make exceptions based on whether you meant to think those thoughts or just absorb them from your environment. The creative intelligence behind all existence is completely impartial. It faithfully grows whatever mental seeds it receives, regardless of their origin or your awareness of planting them. This divine responsiveness operates with unwavering consistency. It cannot fail. It cannot be bribed. It cannot play favorites. When you plant an image in your subconscious mind through repeated thought and emotion, that image must manifest according to its nature. The universal creative power doesn't judge whether your mental seeds are wise or foolish, beneficial or harmful. It simply grows them with absolute fidelity. The profound responsibility this places on your shoulders is both humbling and liberating. The same mind that can unconsciously create limitation, illness, and conflict can consciously create health, abundance, and harmony. The choice isn't whether the law will operate in your life. It's already operating with mathematical precision. The choice is whether you'll direct it consciously or continue letting it run on autopilot. When you encounter someone experiencing persistent health problems, financial struggles, or relationship difficulties, you're witnessing the faithful harvest of seeds that were planted in their mental soil, often unknowingly, often years ago. This isn't about judgment or blame. It's about understanding how the system actually works so you can use it deliberately rather than accidentally. The transformation begins the moment you accept full responsibility for the garden of your mind. Not responsibility for what happened in the past when you didn't know better, but responsibility for what you choose to plant from this moment forward. Every thought you allow to take root, every mental image you sustain with feeling, every belief you accept as true becomes a seed that the universe will faithfully nurture into manifestation. The specific technique that accelerates this entire process centers around what I call conscious mental filtering. The deliberate practice of evaluating every thought that seeks entrance to your mind, determining whether it aligns with what you intend to create, and either accepting or rejecting it based on this evaluation. Instead of being a passive recipient of whatever thoughts happen to float through your awareness, you become an active gatekeeper, carefully selecting the mental seeds that deserve planting in your inner garden. This conscious filtering isn't about positive thinking or denial of challenges. It's about strategic direction of your creative power. When a thought of worry appears, you don't pretend it doesn't exist. You consciously evaluate whether entertaining this thought will contribute to your desired harvest. When a limiting belief surfaces, you don't suppress it. You examine its source and determine whether it represents a truth you want to perpetuate through continued attention. Write in the comments, "I guard the gates of my mind," if you're beginning to recognize the extraordinary power that comes from consciously filtering the thoughts you allow to take root in your mental garden, rather than passively accepting whatever seeds happen to blow in from your environment. Now, I want to show you the specific process for weeding out those unconscious mental seeds that no longer serve you while simultaneously planting new ones that will create the life experience you actually desire. Because there's a systematic approach that can literally reprogram your subconscious in as little as 7 days when applied with precision and consistency. The revelation that transforms your entire journey is recognizing just how few of your current thoughts are actually original to you. When you begin to examine the mental activity flowing through your consciousness throughout a typical day, you'll discover something startling. The majority of these thoughts aren't expressions of your authentic being. They're hand-me-down beliefs passed through generations, cultural narratives absorbed from media, limiting ideas accepted from authority figures, and collective fears reinforced through social conditioning. This insight isn't meant to be discouraging but revolutionary. It means that many of the limitations you experience aren't actually yours. They're borrowed restrictions you've accepted without questioning their source or validating their truth. The financial struggles you face might stem from money beliefs you absorbed from parents who themselves inherited those patterns from their parents. The relationship challenges you encounter might reflect romantic narratives embedded in cultural programming rather than your authentic desires for connection. The health concerns that occupy your mind might perpetuate medical beliefs passed down through family lineage rather than your body's true capacities. Think about the watershed moment when you begin to distinguish between thoughts that genuinely originate from your essential self and thoughts that have been implanted from external sources. This discernment represents an evolutionary leap in consciousness, moving from unconscious acceptance of whatever flows through your mind to conscious evaluation of which thoughts actually align with your deepest truth. Your unconscious has been like a garden where the gates were left wide open, allowing every passerby to toss in whatever seeds they happen to be carrying. Parents planted their fears and expectations. Teachers sowed their limitations and definitions of success. Media scattered seeds of inadequacy and artificial desire. Religious institutions planted their specific interpretations of your relationship with the divine. And you've been faithfully watering all these seeds, often without realizing their origin, wondering why certain patterns keep emerging in your life. Experience. The fundamental breakthrough happens when you recognize that your mind doesn't need to remain an open field where others determine what grows in your experience. You can install conscious filters that evaluate every thought-seeking entrance to your mental garden. You can examine beliefs that have been operating below the surface of awareness, questioning their source and determining whether they serve your highest expression. You can deliberately choose which seeds receive your precious attention and emotional energy, knowing that these are the patterns that will manifest in your experience. This journey of mental sovereignty isn't about blaming others for planting limiting seeds in your consciousness. Parents, teachers, cultural institutions, they simply passed along the patterns they themselves had received. There's no villain in this story, only unconscious perpetuation of thought forms that flow through generations until someone awakens enough to break the cycle. Your opportunity is to be that conscious disruptor who says, "This pattern stops with me. I'm establishing new mental seeds that will create different harvests for myself and generations that follow." The systematic approach to this transformation begins with increased awareness of your current thought ecology. Without judgment or self-criticism, simply observe the patterns flowing through your mind. Notice the recurring worries, the habitual self-talk, the automatic reactions to challenges. Behind these surface thoughts lie deeper beliefs and assumptions that have been operating as the invisible architecture of your experience. This witnessing phase doesn't try to change anything immediately. It simply shines the light of consciousness on what's been functioning in darkness. As awareness develops, you gain the ability to trace thoughts to their source. When you catch yourself thinking, "I could never do that," or "people like me don't have those opportunities," or "money is always a struggle," you can pause and ask, "Where did I learn this? Who taught me to think this way? Is this actually my truth or something I've accepted without questioning?" This archaeological expedition into the origins of your thought patterns reveals just how few of them represent your authentic wisdom and how many are simply inherited limitations. Write in the comments, "I reclaim my mental sovereignty," if you're ready to distinguish between thoughts that are truly yours and those you've unconsciously absorbed from external sources, beginning the revolutionary process of consciously choosing which seeds deserve planting in the fertile garden of your mind. The profound truth that most people never fully grasp is that the universal law of mind doesn't care whether you planted those mental seeds consciously or unconsciously. It makes no distinctions based on your awareness, intentions, or understanding of the process. The creative intelligence behind all existence is completely impartial. It faithfully grows whatever mental seeds it receives, regardless of their origin or your consciousness of planting them. This revelation can initially feel overwhelming. It means that thoughts you absorbed from others without questioning, beliefs you inherited without examining, fears you accepted without challenging, all have been growing into the circumstances you're currently experiencing. The law doesn't exempt certain thoughts because you didn't really mean them, or you were just worried but didn't want that to happen. It responds solely to what receives your mental and emotional energy, not to your conscious intentions or preferences. Think about the implications of this understanding. The financial challenges you're experiencing might stem from scarcity beliefs you never consciously chose, but merely absorbed from your environment. The health conditions manifesting in your body could be expressing fears and anxieties you never intended to create, but allowed to occupy your mental atmosphere. The relationship patterns repeating in your life might reflect unconscious expectations you never deliberately selected, but inherited from family dynamics or cultural narratives. This divine responsiveness operates with unwavering consistency. It cannot fail, it cannot be bribed, it cannot play favorites. It doesn't care about your social status, educational background, or family history. It doesn't respond differently based on whether you consider yourself spiritual, religious, or neither. When you plant an image in your subconscious mind through repeated thought and emotion, that image must manifest according to its nature, not sometimes, not occasionally, but with mathematical precision. The universal creative power doesn't judge whether your mental seeds are wise or foolish, beneficial or harmful, empowering or limiting. It simply grows them with absolute fidelity. It's like the soil in a physical garden that nurtures weeds with the same dedication it gives to flowers. The soil doesn't prefer roses over dandelions. It simply provides the nurturing environment for whatever seeds have been planted. Your consciousness is this fertile soil, faithfully nurturing whatever thought patterns receive your consistent attention and emotional energy. This understanding places tremendous responsibility on your shoulders. If the creative mechanism responds with equal precision to conscious and unconscious programming, then the quality of your life experience depends entirely on what mental seeds you allow to take root in your consciousness. You can no longer blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for conditions that directly reflect the thought patterns you've been maintaining, whether deliberately or by default. Yet this same understanding brings extraordinary freedom. If you've unconsciously created limitation through absorbed beliefs and inherited fears, you can consciously create expansion by deliberately planting different mental seeds. The same mechanism that faithfully manifested struggle based on unconscious programming will work with equal dedication to manifest ease and abundance when you provide different instructions through conscious thought selection. The journey of transformation doesn't require convincing the universe to be more cooperative or pleading with divine intelligence to grant special favors. The creative principle is already responding to you with perfect precision in every moment. The shift happens When you move from being an unconscious broadcaster sending mixed or limiting signals to becoming a deliberate creator, transmitting clear blueprints aligned with what you actually desire to experience. This is why genuine spiritual masters throughout history have placed such emphasis on thought monitoring and mental discipline. They understood that the divine responsiveness operating through all creation makes no exceptions based on ignorance or unconsciousness. They recognized that liberation comes not from changing external circumstances, but from taking conscious control of the mental seeds being planted moment by moment in the fertile soil of consciousness. Write in the comments, "I accept the responsibility of conscious creation," if you're beginning to recognize both the profound accountability and the extraordinary opportunity that comes with understanding how the universal law of mind responds with unwavering consistency to whatever thoughts you plant, whether consciously chosen or unconsciously absorbed. The profound revelation that can transform your entire existence is understanding that the same mind that has unconsciously created limitation, illness, and conflict can consciously create health, abundance, and harmony. This isn't about developing new creative powers. It's about redirecting the incredible creative force that's already operating through you in every moment. The mind that manifested struggle through unconscious programming can manifest is through deliberate choice. The consciousness that attracted discord through inherited patterns can attract harmony through intentional selection. When you encounter someone experiencing persistent health challenges, financial struggles, or relationship difficulties, you're not witnessing the absence of creative power. You're observing the perfect manifestation of whatever mental seeds that person has been planting, often without realizing what they were cultivating. Their circumstances aren't evidence of cosmic punishment or bad luck. They're the natural harvest from the garden of their mind, growing exactly what was planted through predominant thought and emotion. This understanding removes victimhood forever from your identity. You can no longer believe that external forces are conspiring against you or that you've been singled out for particular hardships. The creative mechanism operates with identical precision for everyone, responding solely to the quality of consciousness each person brings to the process. Your current circumstances, whether expansive or limiting, are the faithful reflection of seeds you've been planting, not evidence of special favor or disadvantage. The choice you face isn't whether this creative mechanism will operate in your life. It's been functioning with mathematical precision from your first conscious thought. The decision is whether you'll direct it deliberately toward outcomes you desire or continue allowing it to manifest by default based on unconscious programming and absorbed limitations. Will you be the conscious gardener of your mind, carefully selecting seeds that will produce a harvest of freedom and fulfillment? Or will you remain the passive recipient of whatever thought patterns happen to blow through your mental atmosphere? The transformation begins the moment you accept full responsibility for the garden of your mind. Notice that this isn't about taking blame for past harvests that grew from seeds you didn't consciously choose. Judgment and self-criticism actually plant new seeds of limitation that perpetuate struggle. The responsibility I'm describing focuses entirely on what you choose to plant from this moment forward, the thoughts you decide to nurture with attention, the mental images you elect to energize with emotion, the beliefs you consciously select as worthy of your acceptance. When you encounter a limiting thought like, "I always struggle with money," or "My health has always been fragile," or "Relationships never work out for me," you now recognize these as seeds that will inevitably grow into corresponding experiences if given the soil of your acceptance and the water of your emotional energy. Instead of unconsciously nurturing these limitations, you can consciously choose different seeds. "I'm developing a new relationship with abundance," or My body knows how to restore perfect balance, or I'm learning to create harmonious connections. This isn't positive thinking or affirmations divorced from deeper transformation. It's strategic redirection of your creative power, the deliberate reprogramming of your subconscious manufacturing system. You're not trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. You're establishing new patterns in consciousness that the creative mechanism will faithfully manifest, just as it manifested the previous patterns you maintained, often without realizing their creative potency. The journey involves examining the current harvest in your life, health conditions, financial circumstances, relationship patterns, creative expression, and tracing these manifestations back to the mental seeds that produce them. This inventory isn't about criticism or regret. It's about developing awareness of the connection between inner causes and outer effects, between mental patterns and physical manifestations. When you recognize which thoughts created current conditions, you gain the power to plant different seeds that will produce different harvests. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and show you the exact process for weeding out those unconscious mental seeds that no longer serve you, while simultaneously planting new ones that will create the life experience you actually desire. Because there's a systematic approach that can literally reprogram your subconscious in as little as 7 days, when applied with precision and consistency. This systematic approach starts with a fundamental decision that will shape every aspect of your existence. What kind of kingdom do you want to live in? This isn't a metaphorical question. It's the most practical choice you'll ever make. Every single day, through the thoughts you choose to entertain and the mental images you allow to develop, you're literally determining whether you'll inhabit a kingdom of peace or confusion, health or sickness, freedom or mental imprisonment. Write in the comments, "I choose my kingdom consciously," if you're ready to make this fundamental decision about what kind of inner world you're creating through the thoughts you select for planting in the garden of your mind. If you've made it all the way to this point, if you've stayed with me through this entire exploration of consciousness and creation, I want to thank you for the profound connection we've shared. This journey isn't just about understanding concepts, it's about recognizing the extraordinary creative power that's been within you all along, waiting to be consciously directed. The truth is, these transformative principles aren't meant to be encountered once and forgotten. They're meant to be lived, practiced, and integrated into your daily experience. That's why I create these videos, because I believe deeply in your potential for transformation, and I want to continue supporting your growth with practical wisdom that actually works in real life, not just in theory. If what we've explored today resonates with something you've always felt to be true, deep within your soul, consider subscribing to our channel. Each video builds on the previous ones, creating a comprehensive foundation for conscious living that gets more powerful the deeper you go. When you subscribe, you're essentially saying yes to your own continued awakening, and I'm honored to be part of that journey with you. If this video created that spark of recognition, that sense of, yes, this is what I needed to hear right now, a simple like lets me know we're resonating at the same frequency, it also helps this message reach others who are ready for this level of understanding. Leave a comment saying, "The new world is born within me," if you've absorbed the deeper message and are ready to take conscious responsibility for the reality you're creating. Your comment isn't just feedback, it's a declaration of your commitment to this path of transformation. There's a video right here that takes these concepts even deeper, showing you the specific daily practices that can integrate all of this into your life seamlessly. Click and continue with me over there, because your transformation is just beginning, and the best is yet to come.